And we welcome you back to In the Box with Willie Ramirez. It is your insight to the Professional Hockey Writers Association, getting you a little further than those random tweets with the links to the stories of some of the most esteemed hockey writers. Instead, we give you a little video preview, and they can talk about what's going on the beat and what they are working on. Joining me today, Luke Fox joining us to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Luke, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Willie.
Absolutely. Let's jump right into it. As we're speaking, the Maple Leafs are coming off of a 4-2 loss. They open up a road trip. They go into Edmonton against a team that's surging since their coaching change, and they drop a 4-2 decision. Now a 4-game losing skid. What is going on with the Maple Leafs?
Yeah, it's tense times around the Leafs. Right now I'm in Calgary, about to go to the morning skate before Leafs Flames. And on one hand, you got a team that hadn't been so great in Calgary, and they're on a 4-game win streak, and the Leafs are in their worst rut of the entire season. And the prevailing theme through this stretch is blown leads. They've had a lead in all 4 of those games, multi-goal leads in most of them. And not only have they lost, but the past 3 they've lost in regulation. In the third period, they've blown it. So they're not even scooping up those valuable loser points. And, this is a team coming into the season that fancied itself a contender for the Atlantic Division crown. And now they're much closer to the wild card spot. And there's questions about the coach. There's questions about, did Brad Treliving supply Sheldon Keefe with the right personnel? And some of their key players are in skids here. You got William Nylander, hasn't, piled up the points since signing his extension. John Tavares, 5-game pointless streak, his worst as a Maple Leaf. So the tensions are rising here. And usually this is a team that's in mid-season cruise control.
Yeah. It's funny when teams go through something like this, you don't want to call it dissension in the locker room amongst one another, but it can sort of weigh on their mental game. How is it affecting some of their personal games? We saw it here in Las Vegas with Logan Thompson in net. He admitted that December was rough on him mentally. How are the players sort of accepting it personally?
Well, to be honest, like, the dressing room seems okay. Like, they feel like they have enough confidence in their skill. This is a team that routinely has 100-point seasons. They feel like this is just a blip, and they're pointing to the good things they're doing to get those leads in the first place. From a mental aspect, I think it has to do with stuff on the ice. The ice time is really lopsided as they've structured their team really top heavy with a bunch of stars. And there's not a lot of depth that the coach trusts. So, Sheldon Keefe was mentioning recently that, towards the end of games, there's some mental mistakes. And part of that might be due to fatigue. They have to clean up and lock down these leads. And yeah. I don't think it's like mental health off the ice. I think it's more just mental mistakes due to fatigue, because there's only so many guys he trusts, and they're getting overtaxed. And we're only halfway through the season.
Yeah, and it doesn't get any easier on this road trip. As you mentioned, they're playing in Calgary. Now all of a sudden they got to go to Vancouver, a surprising Vancouver team, and then Seattle, which was rolling, took some lumps on to close out a road trip, and now returns home, is going to be looking to bounce back. And then they go home, and then they got back-to-back against Winnipeg. So it's not an easy chore, especially heading into the All-Star break. You recently released your mid-season report. I'm sure a lot of this addresses the needs for improvement in certain areas. It came out earlier this week. And we're going to tweet that link out again. Just talk about what you saw, at the midseason mark for the Maple Leafs.
Well, quite honestly, they're kind of a good team, but not a great team. They're kind of caught in this middle ground. And I think my big takeaway from at this stage is, does the GM feel like this is a roster worth investing in? Especially in light of, how they performed lately. Are they one Chris Tanev away from winning a cup? Like, should they spend more futures? They don't have a second-round pick, which is usually a really key piece if you want to go shopping ahead of the trade deadline. They do have a first-round pick. If you're looking at their prospect pool, you're basically looking at 2 guys, Easton Cowan and Fraser Minton. Are you willing to sacrifice more futures to invest in this group? Have they shown you enough that they're even worth it. And I think that's a question that's going to play out over the next 6 weeks or so here. They need to get back on track and prove to their GM that they're worth investing in. On the other side, it's like you could argue, how could you not invest in them? All your top players are in their prime. You're only going to have so many cracks at this. So Treliving finds himself in a bit of a conundrum, because up until this point, they don't look like world beaters.
Gotcha. You can check out Luke's mid-season report. We're tweeting that out as well. So check him out on X. Luke Fox Jukebox. That link will be up on the PHWA Twitter site as well, along with clips of this video. So, Luke, we appreciate you joining us. I know it's battling some in and out of cold weather here up there north of the border. I know that they're going through it in certain areas here in the United States. So make sure that you keep warm, stay safe, travel, and get home safely. And we'll see you around the corner. Hopefully we'll see you when you get out here to Vegas.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be on that trip. So I'll see you then, Willie.
Sounds good. All right, Luke Fox. And we're back this weekend with more guests from the PHWA in the box.